dang it. And I literally wake up fireball. I got hit by a wake up compliment fireball. All the time this happens to me. Every single time. Damn, y'all really just do me like this every time. Do I really? Caught me mashing? You probably did. Also still a cutie. Ah, dang it. I'm cooked. Cooked. Damn. Alright, y'all. Happy Wednesday. I hope the day was restful and or productive for y'all. Damn. Y'all really went and cooked me straight up. Right out the gate. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Sat in on an info session for a thing that's like munity related earlier. Earlier this earlier today. That's the word I was looking for. My brain finally caught up with the rest of what I was trying to think. God damn. Also, hey, Stubby. So, yeah, in the overall, yeah, I'm alright. Probably after stream is over, I'm gonna go make mac and cheese or something. Friday, I'm just letting y'all know ahead of time. Friday, I find out about something related to a thing that we went out for munity. And one way or another, we're planning on going out to a barcade to either celebrate or commiserate, depending on how the thing went. So probably Friday, there's a pretty good chance that I'm not streaming, but only because, like, you know, only because I'll be like out and about at around, well, the plan is to be out and about when the barcade opens, which is fairly early in the afternoon, but then there's a pretty good chance that I'm not going to be back here before stream time starts. So I was just like, yeah, let's probably not gonna what's the word? That is highly likely that I'm not going to be back in time to stream on the time I would normally stream by. And also depending on whether or not the news is good or... Okay, I can stop being at least a little bit coy. The short answer is that this past Monday, Munity as a team did an interview with an incubator for Shootlands related stuff. We find out on Friday whether or not we got in. So that's the plan. We're going out to either celebrate that we got it, or to commiserate if we didn't. So no stream on Friday, more than likely. If that for whatever reason changes, I'll let y'all know, but it's highly unlikely that that's gonna be the case. So yeah, without getting into it in terms of well, I don't mean without getting into it. That's maybe not the right word I'm looking for. I know that we have had a real big news drop today as far as gaming stuff goes. The most I'm gonna say, because I know that people have very understandably difficult and complicated feelings about some of it. I'm going to say, let's not get too deep into the Switch 2 stuff. Not because I don't trust y'all to have a conversation about it, but just because that's a lot to get into. And I have feelings about that I have expressed not super public facing, mostly because I don't know if I have everything cogent enough to explain it on stream and not completely lose my train of thought 3 times. The briefest overview of what I'm going to say is, damn, they cooked, but damn, we're cooked. And I'm going to leave it at that. That's basically it. There are a lot of things in looking at that thing where I go, y'all cooked, but also, damn, we're cooked. That's my thought on it in general. And getting any deeper into that, that's probably a Gilded Side thing. I don't want to touch up on that too tough. That's, oh boy. Anyway. Yeah, y'all get what I mean, right? We're good on that. IMO. So instead, we're gonna use this screenshake module that I just found out about, the screenshake plugin I just found out about for Godot recently, and we're gonna see if I can figure out how to get screenshake to work by using viral core busters as a crash dummy, or if I'm going to fuck it up immensely and then have to figure it out later. It is either of these things. Alright, so let me not get distracted. See? I'm getting distracted already. I went to literally go open up the repo for Viral Core Busters and immediately forgot what the fuck I was doing. Easily distracted. That's me. Oh no, what are you upset about? Oh, not like this, Godot. It's because I added in a module while I was looking, and now Godot is upsetty about it. So let's see if we can mostly fix that. Oh, are we doing this? Oh, are we doing this again? Yeah. Damn it. Okay. We behaving? We're behaving? Good. Alright, cool. Right. I need to stop trying to do game capture when doing like this stuff because it gets upset. Gotta love the lag between chat and stream. Yeah, say la vie. I don't even know if theoretically you can blame the delay on the fact that Twitch chat is technically still built off of like the back of like an IRC relay or not. I don't think that's the case, but I also don't know enough about technology in this particular instance to be sure. This is one of those things where I do not remember if that's the case or not. So, all right, let's see. Okay, so the long and short of it is that if you use an IRC, internet relay chat is basically like a text-only form of chatting that has existed since the early days of the internet. It's like prototype AOL Internet Explorer, or not AOL, AOL Instant Messenger. It's like super old school. If you really want like the best example I can give Discord, except not owned by one specific company. It's a text protocol. So theoretically, if you know how to spin up a server and know how to set up a relay correctly, you can host an IRC basically from like almost anywhere. It's more complicated than that, but basically it's like Discord if it had only text options, except almost anybody can host one. That sort of deal. Like you can post images to links, and you can post links to images and things like that, but you don't have voice chat, you don't have video chat, any of that. Twitch, the chat system on Twitch, you can log it. Yeah, like the chat system on Twitch, if you know how to finagle it, you can use just like a regular old IRC client that only provides text and stuff, and actually like type into a Twitch chat. There are a couple extra hoops for getting through it, but it's entirely doable. A text-only chat room this user hosted. Yes, all of these things are true. But Sebi, it's me. You know I have to like go and walk a circuit sometimes when I'm thinking off the top of my head. Also, hi Ren, how you doing? Something in the code, but I don't think it's the IRC backbone, because if I have both mobile and desktop up, the delay isn't the same. Of course, which means that it's probably just, knowing our luck, it's probably just Twitch being Twitch in an unfathomable aspect. Oh, right. I guess there is one other bit of news that I realized I should discuss, because shit, Cat Wizard got me. Because I'm not streaming on Friday, probably. Tomorrow is my 5th stream anniversary. Not like 5 years since I've made affiliate, but 5 years since I've been streaming at all. I started April 3rd of 2020. It is going to be, like, when the stream anniversary comes up, it will be April 3rd, 2025. I don't know. I was thinking about intending to celebrate, and then I completely forgot, because the last couple of days, like, basically leading up into this week, I was worried about the interview thing on Monday, and then it completely escaped my brain for the rest of it. Partially because I'm looking at my apartment and going, I really gotta straighten a couple things out on top of like that. So Rain, you're for gore is what I mean. That's basically what I'm getting at. You're for gore, Suleta forgetta, that sort of thing. So yeah, the 5th stream anniversary is tomorrow. Am I celebrating? Nah, not really, technically. Because I forgot. But I'll talk more about how it feels to have been doing this for 5 years tomorrow. or tonight, I guess, after. I meant tonight before stream is over. Why is my brain doing this thing? Also, I also love a detailed info dump. Oh god. Thank y'all. Okay, I think I've managed to at least plug in all of the plugins, which means that let me just run this and make sure that this doesn't like explode in my face, and then we're gonna have to figure out screenshake stuff afterward. Okay, it's gonna do the thing where it doesn't show that at first until I punch that part in the face. All right, cool. Okay, all right, camera code. You know what? We're probably just gonna leave the camera code as it is. I'm not gonna fuck with it any more than I have for right now, because that's a lot, PM. So yeah, the plan is to do it with viral core busters and sort of figure out how to get the camera shake stuff working there, and then do it in Shoot Lancer. That's the plan. Whether or not it works out that way is going to be entirely dependent on whether or not I can figure out the documentation for this thing. And the reason why I say that is because, okay, so I'm gonna soapbox for half a second while I figure out some of the other stuff that's related to this. So one of the things that for me turns into a really big pet peeve is because you gotta call the cutie right off the bat. Yeah, probably. One of the things to me that usually kind of actually chaps my ass when we're talking about like you as like a developer or something providing a plugin or some other system that you would like other creators to use. The thing that will chap my ass about faster than anything else when you are doing this is if you neglect to if you neglect when you're writing the instructions, like I'm gonna put it like this. I know that like doing documentation for I know that doing documentation for like stuff is difficult, right? For all that I love Godot's like actual official documentation is not great, and that's partially because it is reliant on like volunteers to kind of like pick up a lot of the slack in some aspects, and that's asking a lot, right? That is asking a lot. And so while I don't particularly look at I need to lock this one so it stops moving. Cut it out, stop moving. So while I'm not going to like absolutely give everybody, I'm not going to give people a ton of shit about like, oh, you're absolutely the worst person ever for not contributing to doing to not doing documentation, because like technical writing is a skill, right? Writing sucks, especially on paper, but if it sucks more, no one uses your tool because you didn't properly explain how to use it. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like the more time that I have to spend kind of like picking apart the principles behind the thing that you wanted everybody else to use, the more annoyed that I get, right? Um, one of the major so like case in point for this thing, right? Case in point for this. Um, I'm not naming names, but there is a thing that I was experimenting with in my spare time, written by someone who really does know like how the thing works. They're pretty clear and straightforward in terms of like, oh yeah, like, and well, let me phrase it differently. They know their stuff about this particular subject, so I was like, okay, right, this makes sense. But when they wrote the thing that they put together, like they didn't comment everything super clearly. So a lot of it is I just have to back guess and back engineer at a lot of this. And I'm not saying this as if I happen to write exceptionally clear documentation of my code because I gotta be real, I don't always. I kind of fuck it up a lot. If I'm going to be straight up about it, there are times where I've sat down to write code and I didn't like stop to actually go, okay, no, I need to sit down and actually comment all of this as I'm doing it so that I don't have to come back and do it again later. I have a bad habit of not doing that. Um, and I'm trying to get better at it because I'm aware of the fact that at some point there are going to be other people that are reading my code and they need to be able to understand what I was thinking and why. Right? That is a thing I need to get better at that I do not do very well. Um, so I'm not saying this about this person, even indirectly, to like talk shit about them over something that I also have a hard time remembering to do. But the fact that I looked at their code and I basically had to pick apart a bunch of variables that don't have anything specifically to do with the thing that I wanted to do in order to vaguely understand what is going on. And even then, I don't quite understand the thing, right? There's a lot of like back engineering work that I had to do just to sort of figure it out. And I'm like, you can't tell people, hey, cool, I feel free to use this thing. It is guaranteed to be miles better than whatever other solution. And then you leave half the shit uncommented. It's like you just gotta like figure it out and see how it works. Like no, like if you're gonna put this in a spot, and to their credit, like they have some of that done, right? Like they explain a good chunk of most of the behavior, right? They do in fact explain at least some of it, right? But the problem is that then they're like, hey, you can use this particular set of files as a reference for how to use this thing. I go to look into those files, and those are the things that aren't fully commented or not commented enough. And it's like, okay, I just gotta like sit here and make a fucking guess at how this works. And I'm just like, this is what this is what gets on my nerves. This is where my ass begins to chap because it's like you can't point somebody to a set of files to use as reference files, and you didn't comment at least some of it for me to understand how this works. You are making me have to guess at most of what you are doing in order to make it make sense. And I'm just like, I can do this because I have the skill set to do this, but now you are making me waste additional time. And it looks like, at least for this stop chatting zap, as think of the port. Yeah. Also, it looks like for this plugin, okay. So now, oh, okay. I need this to bump up some so I can actually see what is being said here. Okay, so all I have to do is just put that on there. All right, cool. So insofar as like the actual um Godot freeze. Hang on a second. Godot is doing a silly, which means that I have to I gotta restart. I gotta shake the jukebox a little bit. Hold on, because it looks like Godot is having a moment. So what I'm gonna do is let's let's come over to Task Manager and then and it's really annoying because I know that it was really annoying in the particular case I was talking about because I know that this person knows what they're talking about. They're really good at what they're doing. But okay, this is a reason why you really I completely forgot about the thing I was saying for like half a second. Let me try this again. What I was going to say as half a joke except not a joke is that this is why you need to force programmers to actually like, you know, take humanities classes. This is I know this sounds like a joke, but I'm also not joking. Um this is one of those things where explicitly because this is not a thing, right, that has happened. Because okay, good. Right, finish my thought. I wanted to test this one thing and make sure that nothing was like breaking horrendously, and it looks like we're fine now. So yeah, like the main reason why, even if you are a programmer, you should be forced to take like humanities class. There are two reasons. One, so that you actually have an understanding of like, yeah, not just take them actually give a shit about the class. Yeah, that's true. This is true. Yes. Thank you, and that's fair. Um, you as a programmer should both be forced to take humanities classes and to give a shit about them. One, because you have to communicate with other people. Two, because you need to have an understanding about like how and what things you are doing as a programmer have an impact on people, because they do. Like that's yeah, exactly. Also to learn to understand the media you consume. We had a whole conversation about that on Sunday, talking about Pokemon Crystal and how a lot of people in Pokemon kind of just like read the surface level of shit, and this is how we get like half joking, half serious memes about how like Pokemon is just like animal blood sports, and it's like it doesn't it doesn't work that way, and you're not cute. But anyway, okay. So as much as I dislike video tutorials, at least with the video tutorial that I'm looking at right now, um I am being given enough information to directly figure out what it is that I need to do and how. Um okay. Okay. and then I can adjust the other stuff there. Okay. Okay, and we have a nice visualizer too. Okay. So yeah, like this person has only given me like a very, very basic set of videos about how to make this thing work, but we're getting there. Okay, so here's the deal. So to talk a little bit about screenshake and the way that this works, we have to talk about we got to talk about trig. This is basically trig. Sorry y'all, it's math time again. We're already there. Trig and or technically other forms of like wave theory, but like we're there. Unfortunately, the same people who most need a writing class are often the people who would also ignore the whole thing and have Gen AI write their homework for them. Yep. And in particular, for me, I also look at it as a thing like, if you get failed for that, you deserve it. There are a lot of ways in which like school and education happen to be like unfair, right? 100%. There are like 100%, right? But by the same token, if the whole point of like doing work, gotta start keeping a log of timers for how long each game dev stream goes before the math comes up, lol. Yeah, it's funny because I keep telling you, it's because I've said so many times before that like, you don't have to be good at math in order to do game dev stuff, and then every time I say that, I wind up having to explain a math thing anyway. But it's mostly just in the context of also contextualizing why this shit matters. But, or how the shit is more useful for things that they don't tell you about. So, let's talk about wave theory and technically trig. So, for this camera shake, right, I've been fortunate enough that with the camera shake, a lot of the visualization of like all the really wild stuff has mostly already been put into the inspector, so I don't have to break out MS Paint today. I don't, not really. So this shaker component 3D that I just put inside of the camera, right? The whole point of the shaker component is that it is supposed to basically take whatever it's a child of and give it like a good rattle, shake it up a little bit, right? And the main reason why we want this is because in order to sell impacts and things like that, you want like a little bit of camera shake, right? And also like a little bit of hit stop. But we're probably not going to get the hit stop today. That's a whole other thing that I have to figure out how to do in Godot that I'm not approaching that just yet. I don't want to hit that just yet. That's a lot to get into. So we're gonna start with camera shake first. So with camera shake, the whole point of camera shake and the way that it works is that ideally speaking, if you really want to get like the thing to rattle and the kind of like feel right, you essentially have to do a little bit of work with trigonometry. So let's talk about waves and wave theory. So when we're talking about a wave, specifically a sine wave, right? There are a couple of different aspects to it that you can sort of tweak here, and we'll tweak each one sort of like little by little. First off is the amplitude, right? So the amplitude of a wave tells you, right, how, basically, for lack of a better term, as you see, as like I'm like messing with it here, right? Messing with the amplitude of a wave affects how large it is, right? How high the crusts go and how low the chows go. All are small, exactly. Whereas the frequency dictates how densely packed, right? How densely packed each thing is, right? So when you hear a sound, when you hear of a sound being high frequency, for example, right? This means that the space between waves is very compressed. For the purposes of what we're doing here, right? Compressing the frequency of the waves causes the jitter to get a little stronger because it's shaking more frequently. And then the phase is just more of a control of like where in the thing it is. We're not really worried about that. Really, what we care mostly about is the intensity, the duration, the amplitude, and the phase. As well as the fade in and fade out of the wave itself. So I'm going to look back at the sample one and see what they gave us. So low amplitude and relatively high frequency with a relatively short fade in time and a relatively long fade out time. Okay. So we're going to cut down the amplitude a bit. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to cut the amplitude. So in this case, right, when we lower the amplitude of the wave, it restricts how wildly the shake swings. Right? Which is on purpose. And if we increase the amplitude in certain directions but not others, right, we bias the influence of the shaking accordingly. And that feels like that's about right for how much we would like to shake it. And it looks like I'm shrinking it here, but we're zooming in and out. So we're not actually affecting, if we look here, right? I'm not actually affecting the amplitude or anything when I scroll like this. I'm just like, there we go. So a relatively high frequency wave with a relatively low amplitude and a fairly long duration gives us a strong but very short-lived shake that doesn't go all over the place, right? The thing about screen shake is that you want to be very deliberate about how much you put in. So in a more general concept, right? When we talk about screen shake is one of those features of a game that we call juice, right? Juice is all of like the little extra visual and other flares that like actually help sell the impact behind a strike in a game or some other effect, right? You need at least a little bit of juice with a couple of things just to like get people feeling a type of way. You don't have to juice everything. And how much juice you use on specific elements, you gotta tune it a little, right? Just a little. You gotta just tune it. Just a little, right? But when you do that correctly, and then you set off your little bits of juice here and there, your game starts to really like pop and feel like alive, right? There are things that can feel weightless or otherwise like not impactful. You spin a little juice on that bad boy, and you're eating good, right? But you have to be very deliberate about not pushing too hard or going too far. Now, in my case, if I really felt like it, I probably could have physically written a module of some kind or script of some kind that does this camera shake, but the plugin does it for me, so why bother, right? Now, the trick is, here's the thing. This plugin was written with Godot script, GD script, so I don't really have the ability to... I can access it with C# code, but it's going to take a little more work. I got to be a little more clever about how I do that. I have to be a little more clever about how I do that for various reasons. So here's what we're gonna do. I need to go jump over to, because I forgot how I did this, which means that I need to go I gotta look at a thing right quick because I don't remember how I did this. Level manager. It might be this one. Let me take a look here. Okay, nope, not that one. It's probably in game state play. Okay, it's in the level manager. That's where it is. It took me a minute to remember where I put the specific code I was looking for. Here it is, it's over here. So, here's the way that this works. But yeah, before I get to that, let me finish my thought about the camera stuff actually. So, you may have also heard me say at some point before that it's like, if you are really wanting to study math that is helpful for video games, honestly, geometry and trigonometry are the two fields. Okay, algebra to a certain extent, but also geometry and trig, if we're talking about things that are directly applicable, right? Because sine wave stuff is covered in trigonometry, right? The explanation of how a sine wave is formed, the rules that it follows in terms of like amplitude and things like that. Technically speaking, it's also wave physics. Like sound waves and light waves also follow these principles, right? Like high frequency lights are, essentially speaking, light that is in the part of the visible spectrum of light that's like super compressed, where the light waves are tightly together. Yeah, algebra is kind of a building block for all the other... Yes. Yes, this is also true. But mostly in terms of like things that are like immediately applicable. Like you wind up using a lot of the same like, yeah. Yes. To answer your question, yes. But in particular, the reason why I bring up geometry and trig is because when I was in school, right? And granted, it's not like my teachers would have known to say this, but in school, if I had been aware that trigonometry and geometry in particular were also super useful for game dev stuff, I would have had a much easier time actually having an interest in math. This has come up on stream before, but this is one of those things where a lot of the time, right, the way that math is taught is mostly from the approach of, you just need to know this thing. Like the why of why this thing works the way it does is not important, just know how it works. And there are situations in which that is okay, right? Like for example, in my case, I do not explicitly need to know how quaternions work. I don't. that is not information that I need. Not because it's not important, but because quaternion math is cursed and scary. But if I understand enough about, like, right, we're understanding how a quaternion works, it is a model for rotation that keeps certain positions properly relative to each other so that you don't have issues with rotating something. Cool. You have a function that interprets the normal Euler angles that we normally use into quaternion stuff. Cool. Just give me those two and I'll make it work, right? There are times where you don't need to know the underlying principles under something, and then there are times where you do. Tool, and it's hard to learn how a tool works if you can't see how you use it. Yes. And like I said, I don't blame my teachers for not knowing. Like, they couldn't predict the future. I couldn't predict the future. Where it's like, oh yeah, this is something that, like, Sean would care about. They didn't know that. I didn't know that. Like, I can be real about that. That's not a thing, right? It's still a thing that I wish I'd known and or realized earlier. Because then it would have been like, okay, now I understand why this is important. For example, getting characters to walk up and down slopes is basically just apply trigonometry, because a slope is a triangle, right? Which means that if you're able to, like, derive your change in x and change in y as you're going up the hypotenuse of the triangle, then that means that you understand, in principle, theoretically, how to make it so that when a character is walking up a slope, even if they don't, like, tilt to go up the slope, you can properly calculate the way that they're supposed to walk up and down it. Those things are important. Those things matter. But you wouldn't think to use trigonometry for that if nobody tells you that that's one of the things it's useful for. Similarly, like, I have a few things I wish me and my teacher, my mom, had known earlier, like the fact I'm a girl law. Right. So that's the code I was looking for right here. You see this note here that I wrote right here? Because Effectsphere's plugin is written in GDScript, we have to use set to set up which effect it should play, then use call to call the play function from the node's Effectsphere code, right? It's the same principle here. Because the camera shake node using the Shaker Godot plugin is written in GDScript, we can't just do like camera shake node.play. That's not going to work. also just do this so that we don't. Math is on the top. I wrote memorization because the reason why it works and what you'd want it for are derived from more advanced math concepts. It's trying to force linear progression in a subject that doesn't actually have one. Yeah, that's also true. Right? Mostly the way that I'm thinking about it, I guess, is that it's like that is a fair point. It's like the complicated thing. I guess the maybe probably then the slightly less like up my own butt way of sort of phrasing what I'm thinking about is mostly the conceit that if you can find interesting applications for the no, it's still kind of in that realm, isn't it? Hmm. I have to think about how I want to say that because Ren brings up a good point where it's like you have to like consider that there are some things that you can't like really teach in a very linear fashion necessarily. But for me, there's always in the back of my brain there is always a way to use a metaphor to help something land better when you're teaching a concept. That's the thing. That's the direction I want to go in, but I can't figure out the way to like square that with the very real truth that it's like, right, there are some things where you don't make linear progress, and so it's very difficult to like frame those things in a linear framework when it doesn't work that way. Case in point about me not commenting code. Look at all this code that I wrote from last time that I didn't actually comment correctly. It's kind of unique and tricky subject to have some people teach them. Yeah. Yeah. God dang, we have an ad. Oh, let's see. I think that code should work. I need to go look at the rest of this video. See. All right, let's see here. I want to make sure we have a main camera to do this shaking from. So let's see here. Now, only one other thing I need to do. I think. Okay, I see. Let's try this. Either this is going to work or it's going to fail horribly. So let's find out. I know that we were on an ad break. Basically, I just took a little bit of time while we were on the ad break to actually like sit down and like write up the code that, if I did this correctly, should actually like make the stuff shake. If I didn't like absolutely fuck this up. Alright, yeah, we got it. It works. It works. It works. It works. So now I can actually show you all the code. So basically speaking, let's jump back over to the camera controller. I don't remember what I was going to use this for, so I'm going to get rid of that because I don't remember what I was going to use that for. So yeah, probably really ideally what I would want to do is create like a camera manager and have the camera manager be the one that controls what the primary camera is. And I'll do that at some point. But right this second, don't need to do that. Because it's better if I have a camera manager do it by adding in right each of those. Hi Cosmo, thank you for the lurk. So let's come back down over here. This is the important part. Been lurking since the start, but I actually forgot to say hi. It happens. Right? So here's the trick. If we're looking carefully here, right? Like I said, like I was saying in the other code for the level manager with the effects here thing, shaker is written in GD script, right? But I'm using C# for the game for viral core busters, which means that I can't directly just do like camera shake node dot play underscore shake. It doesn't work like that because GD script and C# cannot, you can't communicate like that, but you can use set, probably get and call in order to like actually facilitate this cross communication, right? So because shake is written in GD script, we have to use set and call to actually affect the setting. So here we set the duration to whatever duration we put in for shake camera, right? And then the call will play whatever function we happen to have here. So if we go back over to the camera controller, I had to go look it up just to be sure. But basically the only way to actually play the shake effect, right? The only way to actually to play the shake effect, whoops, I forgot to minimize this thing. The only way to play this shake effect like this, the name of the actual function, according to the video that I was watching, is play underscore shake. So I had to go find that name and put that in order to make it work. So in this case, I can save this as, so if I go into, let me go up here. So scenes, okay. We're gonna do new folder, call this shake profiles. We're gonna save it as a resource, right? So if I want to, for example, do something completely different, let's do a new one here. And now in here, I want to do a, where is it? Over here. Let's do random 3D instead. And now it's, the reason why we do random is because with random, it will cook a different one every time, which I like. But keep in mind that now, right, it's really strong. And that's because we have to like bump down the amplitudes again, right? Again, the amplitude is sort of the dictator of like how strong the shake is. So we do want a shake that's strong enough to be felt, but we don't want to go too overboard, right? Like if you're like, yeah, when the screen shakes in video games, it makes me sick. It's usually because people have gone in too hard on the amplitude sometimes, right? Or other aspects of it that'll just make you go like, oh God, that's a lot, right? But we're gonna do shaker type random instead, just so that we get like a little bit of variance every time we get a hit. It's not the same shake every time. And if, for example, right, hang on a second, every time with this thing. Hang on. Yeah. So it's a little subtle, right? It's a little hard to notice, but it does happen. It does work. So we can probably afford to bump up the shake some more in terms of like actually just bumping the amplitude a little, but not like 4. We want we probably do 4, 3, 0.4, 0.3, 0.3 is probably just about enough. Now we get a little bit of random noise every time we shake it, which is about right. And even if we don't want it to happen on every hit, right? I can very easily, because of the way that I've set it up now, I can very easily make it such that it's like, okay, only when you like actually destroy an enemy does the camera shake, right? And that's what I mean by like controlling the juice, right? Right? If it feels like it's too much to have it shake with every slash, which is fine, right? Maybe we don't want it to do that. Then what we can do is relatively straightforward, right? We can probably go over to enemy script, right? And very easily, enemy script dot die, right? We can do camera controller dot main camera dot shake camera, right? And then over here, if we go back over to where Koro's attack state is, we can take this line out, right? And now what happens is, provided I didn't like botch this tremendously, what happens is we can basically like we'll swing once and yeah. So the shake again, the shake is subtle because I didn't want to like overjuice it, not even a little bit. Um, but we can probably get away with pushing it now, some more. Yeah, like with like I said, the amplitude of a shake in this sort of situation, you want to be careful about how much you juice it because if you push too hard, like it does make people kind of sick because like the camera's jittering really strongly, right? Yeah, okay, 1 is safe, I think. Right? So that kind of helps. That kind of helps, right? Where it's like, okay, bop, bop, bop. Okay, I wasn't planning on doing this, but I might as well look into it now. Interesting, 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 interesting. Okay. I hadn't thought about any of that. And that's really good. Huh. That might be easier than I thought. I was kind of afraid to get into it for a second, but this might be easier than I thought. The only question is, what do I want to actually inherit that? It has to be something that I know is always going to be in the scene, even the test scene. I'm going to do it on the camera. We're going to just do it on the camera. So, hit stop. You may be wondering what that is and how it is that that works. So I'm going to explain it like this after I put this timer down and after I make sure that in the process, always, we're going to just call this hit stop timer. So here's the deal. The idea behind hit stop, right, is that in some games, right, when you strike an object or strike an enemy or whatever, right, or an enemy hits you or what have you, there's a period of time in which everything kind of just like freezes for a second. Everything stops and then resumes, right? You have to be very deliberate about how you use this for obvious reasons. But when you are using it correctly, using a good amount of hit stop at the right time is really good at selling really, really painful hits. So for the camera's sake, I think what I'm going to do over here is put it on always so that even when the game is like paused, the camera, because like I think the main issue is that I think hit shake might be delayed if the, well, no, I'm going to do this on inherit. I'm going to do the shaker component on always so that, and the idea behind always as a process is that you see how it says here, well, you can't see it, but the idea behind where it says process mode, right? If you notice the camera stop, you know you got a good hit. Exactly. Where it says process mode here, it's a little bit, I know that on my screen it's probably okay, whoops. Magnifier is not the way to do this thing. Magnifier gets very upset. Give me a second, y'all. Sorry, I tried to be clever with something, and now Magnifier is giving me trouble, and I cannot actually see what I'm doing. Sorry. Give me a minute. I gotta find it and turn it off. I was trying to be clever, and I turned on Magnifier, and then I couldn't see any of what was going on. But over here, on this part of the screen, there's a thing that says process mode always, right? Process mode always, when you switch it to that, means that even if you do a certain function that I'm about to use, this node that you have highlighted in question is going to keep doing the thing that it needs to do. You use this sparingly, but it's helpful. So we're going to do public static. We're going to call this a public static void function because we want to be able to just call it from anywhere, right? Process hit stop. It's going to do void hit stop, float duration, or no, it has to be a double because we're using a timer. Double duration. And now all we're going to do here is so here's what we're going to do. Because Godot is very helpful about these things, as camera arm length, we're going to do export category, camera shake configuration. So here, and now we're just going to do export category, camera hit stop configuration. And we're just going to do export timer hit stop timer, export timer ready yet. We're just going to do const double default hit stop time equals 0.25. And then up here, we're going to say the timer node that counts down how long we stay in hit stop. And then over here is the default hit stop time. So for right now, we don't need these because I'm not fucking with the camera following code anymore because it'll make me annoyed. It'll get on my nerves. But I think now that we've done this, I can turn this back to just process, and it's fine because we're doing that stuff. Okay. We're gonna do hit stop timer dot wait time is equal to duration over here. Then hit stop timer dot start, as well as get tree dot paused equals true. And then we just need to do void end hit stop get tree dot paused is false. Now, we are going to have to be careful later on when I make a pause variable, when I make like an actual pause menu for viral core busters, there is a point at which for the hit stop, I have to make sure that the hit stop does not that the hit stop doesn't interfere with, and it might be a thing where it's like I have to disable the ability to pause while a hit stop is going, just to be sure. If I were to introduce this into this game or into Shoot Lancer, because the words are hard. There are two ways I can handle this. What is probably the less painful way is to set it up such that if the game is paused, or no, I may have a different way of doing it. I'm thinking in my head. What I'm saying is I'm thinking in my head about it. Godot offers a lot of solutions for how to potentially deal with this thing that I am now realizing. I'm not going to overthink it right this second. I'm not going to overthink it right this second. This is like the quick and dirty way of doing it, where it's like we just pause the whole tree for a little bit when the hit stop goes off. And if I keep it this way, there are other workarounds that I need to do in order to make sure that like I don't interfere with like a pause function or something. So hit stop timer dot timeout. We're gonna do plus equals and hit stop. And now over here, I can do camera, controller, process, hit stop. Right? Oh God, what did I do? What did I do? Oh, I forgot to. I forgot the very important thing, which is I forgot to put the hit stop timer in, which caused other code to break, which is why we zoomed in very, very closely to Koro's legs. Okay, that should be fixed now, I think, unless I accidentally fucked up and got rid of something else. No, we're good now. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so y'all saw it, right? When it's too long, you get a right? You also notice that like the sound also stopped, right? That's because the music, the audio stream player here, was not on always process mode, right? But now that I've done that, watch this. So yeah, y'all see that like 0.25, that's a lot, right? So you don't need a super long duration for it either. So I'm going to come back over to the camera controller over here, right? And I'm going to do another one of these. Public static void process hit stop. This time I'm going to do double new duration. Main camera.hit stop new duration. So you see, I got to take a second to kind of talk about this. This is the thing, because I just saw Visual Studio fill in that line for me and get it correct, and that's good. So let's talk for a second, right? Generative AI does that at scale with a bunch of shit that it got from who knows where, and because of that, it is just word salad things together. So there are use cases for things like autocomplete and things of that nature when you're writing code that is relatively boilerplate or like something syntactical that is relatively obvious. This kind of stuff is fine, right? Like I don't mind that. But the issue with like Chat GPT and like DeepL, which you can use for like translation and stuff like that, Chat GPT and DeepL and OpenAI and all that other stuff is that it takes that predicative stuff and just amps it way, way high and doesn't do any checking for the thing that you're writing. And that's why you should not be using Chat GPT and things like that to do programming. Bye, Cat Wizard. You're catching like the start of me doing a rant, so that's fair. That's why you shouldn't use it for these things. Because obviously, in this case, it got it right. It got the assumption right, and it's one line of code. It is not like sending that data off to be like strip mined or for context or whatever, right? But keep in mind that I still had to correct that in certain circumstances I have had to stop and correct what the machine thinks I want syntactically, right? Now, imagine that you have to sit here and do that all the time, right? Imagine that you have to sit and do that. Imagine that you have to sit and do that on a thing that you're like, whatever, I'm gonna throw this at ChatGPT. I don't give a shit. Throw it at ChatGPT, let it do it. Lol. Right? Yeah, it is currently nowhere near as good as exactly. And every time it comes to the same fucking plateau because the shit just stops at the same fucking spot. Like every single time, every single model of like this sort of thing, it always stops at the same spot every time. Watching you fine tune things is kind of really neat. It makes me wonder if people would find me fine tuning art to be similarly entertaining because I always seem to be boring. Yeah, I think the reason why it works in my case is that I'm also sort of talking about like what I'm tuning and why, and I think that helps sort of like round out that part of it. Aside from the fact that my voice is apparently very nope, catching myself. From what I have been told and from what I understand, my voice is also very much made for this shit when I'm kind of in the zone. And I will take that compliment, and I deeply appreciate the compliment that I've been given on that front. And I think that also helps, at least when my thoughts are like coaching. I had to stop and catch myself there for a second because I went, again, in the vein of I try not to tell people to do things that I'm not already trying to do for myself. Part of it was take the compliment, five head. So I had to rephrase that to make sure that it is clear that I am taking the compliment as it was given, because that's important. I had to catch myself and do that. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, right. But the explaining of the why is kind of the important part. So the only thing that is that I'm gonna have to figure out how to deal with here, and Godot gives me the tools for this. Thankfully, hey Fruit Loop, how you doing? Been a long time. How are you? Um, one of the things I'm grateful for that Godot gives me the tools for is that I do, in fact, have a way, right, if I need to be able to control. Hang on, I got to probably go into the. Where's the. That's the player. Here's the animation tree. Okay. Okay, stretching each other with the pepper. Hope you've been good. Yeah, I'm doing all right. So, hang on. Okay. Do I have a way of being able to play? Okay, good. I think I can if I scrub it. So attack grounded. Okay. So basically speaking, thankfully, I do have a way of, because Godot is really, really cool about this sort of thing, right? I do theoretically have a way to actively control when the hitbox turns on and off, so that I just got to figure out where in the code I did this already is the hard part. Because here it is. So scheduled end is 9, but that's a funny. Yeah. It always depends. If I start a little late, I tend to go over a little late. Tonight, I'm trying to actually be done by 9. Um, that is the plan. So here's the nice thing, right? One of the nice things that I like about Godot is that if I need to activate something based on something time sensitive, right? Or based on where I am in an animation. So like here abouts is about where this is, right? So I think I can get away with this. I think this might work. Can I add a track here? I think so. Call method. Yes. So I didn't know the schedule. No, it's okay. Um, I know that I have it like listed at the bottom, but sometimes people miss it. It's not. It happens. It's okay. Don't stress it. So I think this worked. Okay, good. Enter key. Um, let's see. Activate. Okay. I hope this is the right one. All right. And then we want to put this like. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Pop that right there, right on that bad boy. So, what I've done here, welcome back, Cat Wizard. So, what I've done here is that on this particular frame of, what I've done on this particular frame, like right here, is when the hitbox actually is active on the ground now. for Koro. I'm gonna have to like adjust the other two. I have to adjust the other two animations as well to account for this. But oh, hold on. I gotta fix. My bad. I need to fix something I think I did with the animation with the animator because of shenanigans. So over here in the animation tree, I need to turn. Hang on a second. No. Hang on a minute. We are having a shenanigan. I need to move this like over here. I want to trash can that link because that I think might have been causing the issue. So we're going to come back over here to the animation player. Okay. I think that should fix the issue that I was having. Maybe. So attack grounded. Okay, wait. Nope, different set of problems now. So I do need to turn on activate. But what I need to do is I made a mistake. It's these that I gotta comment out. And here's what we're going to do. So I'm gonna trash bag that. What we're gonna do actually is so attack hitbox for the regular grounded attack. We want to make sure that we keyframe that one. So we're going to save it. This animation belongs to an imported scene, so changes to imported tracks will not be saved. Modify this animation. Navigate to the scene's advanced import settings and select the animation. Some options, including looping, are available here. Okay, let's see then if that has broken with that before I go try it again. Okay, no, that looks like it stayed. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, good. That works now. Let's see if the other thing did. Almost. It feels like it's still activating too early. Okay, good. So the only thing to do is to make sure that when we enter the state, yeah, so good. Those are all turned off, and then we go from there. Okay, good. So then this mostly just means whether or not It's mostly just a question of whether or not it's going at the right spot. Because the good thing is that the hit stop is like going off appropriately. Okay. Why is it on immediately? That's the problem we're running into. All right, time to go take a look and see. Because just touching the enemy caused like the stop to happen, which means that if we look at this, okay. All right, let's see something here. That's why this needs to be off too. Okay, cool. All right. Let's try that again. So if this works, then this is pretty much everything I need to know to implement it into Flower Core Busters, not Flower Core Busters, into Shoot Lantern, which is equally important there. So, okay. Yeah, okay. So at some point, monitoring is getting set to true for some reason. And I think all right. Okay. Something is up. All right. So I'm going to do this first. Because basically speaking, the fact that I'm walking into it and it's going lol, it's time, means that there is a point at which the setup for the monitoring isn't working correctly. In terms of like, these things should be turned off and not be active immediately. So let's try that again. I'm going to comment out all that stuff and I'm going to take a look and see here. Okay. So for whatever reason, the attack hitbox. Hey, Cal. The attack hitbox for whatever reason. Dang, sorry. Shoot. He said that. My brain turned off for a second. So why is the monitoring? Okay. I may have to do a silly thing. I may have to do a silly thing here. Okay, let me go over to not that animation player. I need this one. Okay, attack grounded. So here, because this is the main thing I can't really figure out. Why is the monitoring turning on? What could be causing that? Because it's happening even though... Alright, I'm going to try something silly here. I don't think that will affect it, but if you're not being good, this is the way. Y'all know. Alright. Let's see here. So why? What is going on here? What is going on here? What is going on here? Nah, that's not directed at Cal. That's directed at me trying to figure out the code stuff. Anyway, so why is the monitoring constantly? Okay. 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 So then that doesn't. But why is it always out? Okay. Hold on a second. Okay. Time to do something. Time to do something a little silly that I don't know if it'll actually work or not, and not really the thing I would like to do in this particular situation. But fuck it. All right. Let's try this real quick. Add child node area E. This is yours now. I'm gonna turn this one off. I just want to see one thing real quick. So state machine attack. No, we're gonna do this one. Okay. So before I do anything else, we're gonna do that one. We're gonna see one thing. But yeah, good luck. Good luck on putting together the presentation. Okay, so remote. Okay, so yeah, just hold it right there. Attack hitbox 2. And then this. Yeah, okay. Cool. So that one, good. All right. Now only gotta check one more thing. And if this does happen the way that I'm suspecting, it will get on my nerves a little bit, but not nearly as much as it would have gotten on my nerves otherwise. I'm gonna go to the animation player. I need to add. We're gonna throw out this track. Add a track, property track for attack hitbox 2. Monitoring. I'm gonna scroll over to here. It's like once the arm's like out here, right? All right. Save this. Come back over to here. I know we just had an ad start. but I wanna follow through on the rest of this thought before I lose it. Oh right, I need to. Okay, yeah. So it was something weird going on with the other hitbox. That's good to know. So I just need to make sure that I copy the, yeah. So it's 6. So collision is the hitbox, and it collides with these two. Okay, good. We can get rid of that node because that was acting weird. And then we're gonna just come up to, gotta check the animation player again to make sure that nothing whack happened there. Okay, good. Shift it over there. Let's see. Huh. So it turning off. That's weird. Because I had accidentally commented out the code for turning off the code might be haunted. Code base might just be haunted. Whatever. Okay. Because the only thing that's weird that's happening right now, the only thing that's really weird with what's happening right now is that despite I moved like the active part of it to like here, right? So let me disable this track for a second. So like the only part about what's happening now that's weird is that it feels like the hitbox is activating too early still. Because the hit stop is working fine. right? The hit stop is working fine. It's at the length that I want. The main problem is that at least for Koro at least. Okay. So that part is at least fine. All right. I think maybe just to be safe, what I'm gonna do, because it looks like it's activating and deactivating when it's supposed to. I'm gonna just do this anyway, where I just manually adjust, right? So we're sure that it's off when you're in this animation. It's on here. And then by the time we're here, it's off again. So this is like a very manual way of doing it, right? Like this is like a very manual way of doing it. And it's something that I would inevitably have to do over again at some other point. But I'm going to do that just as a way of making absolutely sure, at least that to my knowledge, the hitboxes for the attack swing don't start until a specific point. It's technically redundant as far as like the end point of it, but I just wanted to be sure. Did I remember to turn back on the... I might have forgotten to turn back on the track. Let me see. Yeah, I forgot to turn the track back on. All right. Try this again. But this is why I like Godot, right? Because Godot, with the animation player, lets you keyframe everything if you feel like it. Right? There are no practical limits on the things that you can keyframe. There we go. Much better. Much better. Like, I don't know if y'all saw it, but basically speaking, by making sure that I like manually put in points where it's like, this is where the hitbox is deactivated, this is where it's activated, that was I made sure, basically, that it does not turn on until the specific duration at which I want it to. And you can see that because in the camera controller, I put the shaker component. If you look at the process and it says always, even when the hit stop is happening, the camera shake still works. And that is exactly what we want. Are you catching a frog? Lol, sorry. No. No. The enemy is supposed to be like shaped and themed after a grasshopper. So it hops and arcs. So yeah, we've done it. We've got it. So I might want to make it a little shorter even, because I think right now if we go over to here, process hit stop, no, over here, right? So here, since we're doing it from Koro, here's the way I'll do it. Over here, I'll do double. We're going to do attack hit stop duration equals 1 over double 60. And we'll try like 8. And then we're going to do down here, right, attack hit stop duration. Because if, basically speaking, right, I said this in a previous stream, but ideally when you're messing with something that you want to be able to tune like this, magic numbers are what you want to avoid, right? Magic numbers are generally the thing that you want to avoid, right? So when it comes down to like, right, how long should this thing be? How long should that thing be, right? How long should this be? How long should that be, right? You want to do it as like some form of like hard number, so to speak. So that if you need to tune it with a variable, right, you can do that. And if you remember what I said earlier about like how you want hit stop, like I don't want a lot of hit stop here, right? Because at least for Koro's knife, because the thing about hit stop is that it also affects the weight of an attack, right? So Koro just swinging her knife and swinging that quickly shouldn't be like big hit stop, right? You want enough that you feel. You want enough that you feel like you actually like cut them a little, but not so much that it's like, like, ooh, this is like a big punch or something, right? It doesn't match up. You want to be very careful about like how hard you push, push hit stop. Okay, now the only thing is that it's not turn. Ah, damn it! Hold on. What did I do? Okay, okay. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? There's something I did here that's causing it to not. That's causing the hitbox to not flip around. Damn it! Shouldn't have been that. Okay. Oh, damn. I messed up something about the attack hitbox offset, didn't I? When I was fucking around with this. I messed up something on that, didn't I? Where is it? 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 Attack. Okay. Something here is I messed up something. So let's just do. Okay. Something else happened with this. Fuck. I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. I put the hitbox. Okay. So, to explain what happened. In Godot, right? When you're making an area that you can collide with in Godot with like an area 3D, there are two parts to it. The actual area 3D itself and the collision shape, right? So if you do what I just did, where if you do what I just did, right, where you forget to I'm gonna go back over to demonstrate this correctly because I did this in Viral Core. I did this in this game once already, and then I did it again because I wasn't paying attention. So if you look over here on the left side, right, you see that we have the attack hitbox and then the collision shape 3D. These are two separate entities. This attack hitbox is what we call an area 3D. It is defined as like, hey, within this area that you're going to set up, things happen. However, the actual shape of the area 3D is determined by the collision shape 3D that is put as a child under it, right? So the collision shape 3D actually gives the area 3D its shape. The problem is that I left the object for the attack hitbox at Koro's feet, and then I moved the collision shape up and forward. So the hitbox was down here at her feet, and it wasn't registering the fact that she was turning around correctly because of that. I had to physically put the hitbox in the spot where I wanted it so that the code goes, okay, right, we just need to flip the Z position of the actual hitbox in order to make it like flop over and attack on the other side. So now the only other thing I need to do to get the rest of this to work is in Koro's other attack animations, I need to like manually configure when the dash attack hitbox and stuff comes like turns off and turns on, right? So here it's off. Here we want it on. Keep it on for a couple more frames, and then like about here is when we want it off again, right? And the reason why the dash attack hitbox is longer is so that Koro can cut in front of her more easily and get through that way. So now for attacking in the air, we're going to do something very similar. Gonna switch that to 60 so I can like get further out. And like here, right? So here, I'm gonna go to the attack hitbox, hit that one. And then probably by the time we reach like out here, or even like, yeah, like about out here is probably good enough. I'm gonna throw down another keyframe. And I just need to make sure that, go back to the beginning, put another keyframe here. So I could like do this programmatically where I'm just like, hey, wait for this many frames before you activate yourself and all that. I could do that. But sometimes doing it by feel, by hand, is kind of a little more interesting. So we're gonna put this on 60. Nope, that's too much. 60. Thank you. Okay. Attack hitbox. Because this is the one that we want. Dash hitbox is way longer. So at 0 frame, we're gonna make sure it's off. About here, we're gonna make sure it's on. Yeah. And then about here, we make sure it's off again. So we're gonna come over to this middle one, turn it on. And the last one we need, because we've done air, dash, grounded, running. Now we just need to do wall play. So probably really, if I wanted to really be robust about it, the thing that I would do in an ideal situation is probably, because it's harder to animate in Godot, but if I really wanted to like make this work, I could probably figure out a way to manually input all of this animation data. So we're just gonna do, so here, so hang on, let me do this properly. I could like manually animate all of this within Godot itself, as opposed to like, as opposed to having done it in Blender. That's entirely an option. And depending on what you need, like having there are upsides and downsides to that approach, right? The upside to that approach, from a certain perspective, is that you can actually the upside to that is that while it takes more work, because you know you're not working with an actual animation suite necessarily, if you animate something in engine, it means, there we go. If you're animating something in engine with the way I'm describing, where you manually move around each of the bones in manual animations, it basically means that you don't, it cuts out a step of like, oh, okay, I animated in Blender, now I have to bring it back into Godot. Now that I brought it back into Godot, all of the previous animation data is gone. I have to redo it again, right? Like that whole part becomes tedious if you do your animations outside of the engine, because then you'll have to like like with the way that I've set it up, for example, I'd have to like manually reassign it. On the other hand, if I were to do all of like the moving of the bones for each animation in engine, right? The complicating factor to that is that I got to do it in engine, which means that if the tooling and the visualization of each bone is not correct, it becomes a pain in the ass to do right. But it means that I have done all my changes in Engine, which means that if I have to make adjustments, I don't have to go back into Blender to make those adjustments. I just have to go back to the engine to do it. So there are different pros and cons to animating in each way, right? So thinking about it now, right? If it's a I'm going to be moving Viral Core Busters into full production at some point sort of deal, whenever that were to happen, I would probably consider just making sure that I do all of my rigging for the actual models and stuff in Blender, right? And depending on the workflow I would work out with somebody else, I would be like, I think we should do our animations in Engine, as opposed to like doing them externally, because what happens is then you just tweak the animation itself in the engine directly, as opposed to having to go back out to Blender, re-exporting it, and then when you re-import the animation data, we got to do it all over again because we did whatever, right? Pros and cons to doing it either which way, right? Because Blender at least has a more robust suite of it at this point, but also working out animations in Blender, I'll be real, can be a pain in the ass sometimes. It can be a real pain in the ass sometimes. So even in my head, right? Even right now, as I'm thinking about Untitled Lost Kingdom's spiritual successor, which is like the code name for like a 3D action game that I was working on that's supposed to be reminiscent of Lost Kingdoms. Even now in my head, I'm like, I think I would have rather just rigged up all the bones in Blender and then not kept any of the animations when I do the export. Fuck it. Like, I'll just redo the animations in Godot, because at least then when they're done in Engine, right, if I re-import the file complete with whatever rigging, at least now I'm not overwriting my animations as well. As long as the bone names are the same and it's still pointing in the same direction, technically still fine. So there we are, at least as far as that goes. However, there is one other thing I want to try before we get out of here, because we're coming up on time pretty soon. So func state. So something that I think is going to be not silly, but something that I think will help demonstrate the effect of like the hit stop stuff that I was talking about and why it's important that you configure that correctly. So here, right, we're going to do export. Watch this now. Public double hit stop durations. Get protected set new double 3. We're gonna pop over to Coro real quick, and we're gonna use Coro as a reference still, right? Because I like the 3 out of 60 for that one. So we're gonna do okay. I thought I was being clever. Cannot implicitly convert type double that to double. Okay. Alright. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't work. All right. All right. Let's do it this way. 1 divided by 16 is okay. So 3 times 6. Okay, fine. Not implicitly convert type double. Oh, fuck. That's why I'm. I know it would have worked fine. I can't. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. I messed up. It's because I forgot that. I think. And then, yeah, there we go. That's why. It's because I'm being careless. It was being upset with me because I forgot to do this. My fault. Mea culpa. Okay. Okay. Now where did I put this thing? Activate. Okay, hold on a second here. Okay, one other thing I need to do now to make sure that this works correctly. Signal public delegate void on projectile hit. Something like this. No, it's event handler, I think. It signal name. Okay, so this signal that I'm doing here is to basically put out a notifier. This signal name dot on projectile hit basically means, hey, when we have hit something, put out a signal that let us. So signal for letting anything subscribe know that this projectile hit something. All right. So we're going to come over here back now to func state attack, and we're going to do projectile dot on projectile hit plus equals lambda, so we can cheat and do a thing we're not theoretically not supposed to be able to do. camera camera controller dot process hit stop. We're going to do hit stop durations, current charge level. So basically speaking, what this should do, assuming that I didn't horribly screw it up, is if I switch over the character that we're using now to Funk, so if we load Funk instead of Koro, then what should happen, ideally, if I didn't mess this up, there's an evil part of my brain that's saying coding looks cool, we should learn coding, it'll be fun. I described it on Blue Sky. Somebody asked on Blue Sky, failed to build project, which means I forgot to do something. Attack hit stop durations is static. Okay, right, don't export that. Didn't need to export that. Don't do that. That's why I got angry. Okay, try that again. I described it as, I'm not good at puzzle games, right? But it feels like when I'm programming and trying to like make game stuff and like solve the problems that come up from it, it's like it scratches that part of my brain that it does for people who are good at it. Oh, hold on. Oh, it's going to be upset. If prop nodes dot is greater than 0. Okay, let's try this because it's going to be really upset if that's not there. Try this again. Yeah, that's what. Yep, and that's what gets you. Did a little bit of Java coding in AB course in high school. Felt like I was getting. Yep. Okay, hold on. It's gonna keep getting angry at me, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, like Funk, you have no prop nodes. So there's just not. Okay. I made a text-based game that was played with Alien and Twine. I think it's for a college project. It's a fun assignment. Twine is good. Twine is very good. I used to use it as like a teaching, like for students, especially who were like having a hard time like grasping Unity stuff when I was teaching it. I was like, yeah, you can make a Twine game also. And I went out of my way to demonstrate to them that I was like, yes, you can in fact, like Twine games are legitimate. Like you don't have to have necessarily a game where you are doing a lot of like graphical like a lot of like graphical work and stuff like that. Um, Twine is just as legitimate. Twine takes just as much work. And that's kind of like the key thing, right? Um, I guess apropos of nothing, this is the part where I'm going to stand up and say visual novels are real games too. Visual novels are real games too. You cannot just like jokingly say, well, let me phrase it differently. Every time that a company decides to make a joke visual novel announcement for April Fool's Day, I lose a little respect for them. Not that like there was a lot to be had of respect for people who do that anyway, but like, no, visual novels are video games too. They're actually very difficult to make. They're actually very difficult to make. You would think, oh, it's just text scrolling. That's all fine. It's like you have to consider things like people being able to save and stop wherever they want, making sure that they can pick up at exactly the spot that they left off. You have to consider the way that you use your words and the economy thereof. You have to make sure that you are compensating for all of the other things that you are not including in there, like elaborate animations and things of that nature. Your writing has to carry that and carry that very well. You have to make sure that you are tracking players' decision trees very carefully throughout the whole thing. Making visual novels is actually very hard. You should not demean, even as like I'm just joking sort of thing. You should not demean the amount of work that it takes to actually make a visual novel. Visual novels are very difficult to make. Sorry, I had the ASMR there just to be sure that like people heard me. But no, visual novels are that's don't you can't just like roll up and do that shit. What if they released the VN on Valentine's Day instead of April Fools? I respect that better. Mildly. I say mildly not because I think that it is bad necessarily that visual novels tend to have a heavy focus on like romance roots and things like that. But more so just that visual novels don't have to do that. So it is a little reductive. Not what you're not that you said it, Stubby. I'm just saying it is more generally a little reductive when a lot of people go visual novels are really only good as dating sims. Like, no, you can do other things with visual novels aside from that. You really can. And you really should consider it. It is entirely possible. That's why I was like mildly less annoying, but it still plays off of certain assumptions. But oh right, before I forget, um, since it's about that time and we're getting ready to head out, and I should talk about this. So tomorrow, like I said, I'm not streaming tomorrow, obviously, but tomorrow is like my 5th year of streaming on Twitch. Um, I started with game dev stuff, pivoted to like a mixed schedule of like game dev and um, video games. Switched to video games more exclusively for a while, and then basically after leaving my previous job, picked back up on doing the split schedule again. Um, I'm saying this now because I'm going to be live. I'm live now. This is while I have the opportunity to say it. Um, I really appreciate that, especially because 5 years is like a milestone. I might have intended to celebrate it more thoroughly, but like I said, my brain kind of turned to egg, and I forgot to really make a decision on it one way or the other. Um, yeah, I'm kind of just grateful. I'm just grateful, really, that I've met a lot of people who mean a lot to me from doing this. Really, um, I've been able to, even now, especially given that like I don't teach anymore, at least not formally, right? this has still been a way to kind of stay in touch with those roots and not quite lose that skill set as I've developed it over like most of my professional life since getting out of grad school. And I found that I appreciate that more and more as time goes on. That in some small way, I can still, you know, do this thing that means so much to me. And even though things have been difficult in terms of like trying to get my feet under me with like a new job and all of that other stuff, knowing that I have so many people kind of like supporting me and pulling for me and rooting for me, it is not the only thing that motivates me, but it is a strong motivator. The understanding that it's like, yeah, the work that I'm doing, even if I consider it like more casual teaching and the like, that it means something to people, that people like actively enjoy hearing what I have to say about these things, right? I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful that, and like the size of the community is like whatever, you know. I think I have made relative peace with the fact that I'm not going to be like some like big dick streamer as far as like pulling in a ton of numbers and everything like that. But would I be happier if I was a bigger streamer? It's a question that I think about sometimes, right? Where I'm like, am I doing enough? Should I push harder? Do I need to like do another revamp from the ground up? Do I need to try to like really push harder and get more people to like show up? And the more I think about it, the more that I'm like, do I really need to? Would I like it? Is that even something that ultimately I really want? And while I would like to get to know other streamers and be part of other stream communities and all that other stuff, even and still, some part of me is also, let me phrase that more carefully. I am not pursuing growth for its own sake, right? Like, whatever growth I pursue for this channel, for whatever happens here, I want it to be in service of trying to just bring in more of the same and more of the things that like actively like lends to what makes this channel type of place that people want to be at. That's the kind of growth that I want. So I don't want to pursue it just to pursue it. I want to pursue growth that lets me do more of the things that makes this channel itself, basically. Dude, I schedule my week around these streams, so I don't know what day it is. Growth for the sake of growth, how cancer operates, and fuck cancer. Yeah, like I don't want to grow just to grow, right? So yeah, I'm just grateful. Thank y'all for being here. I'm gonna keep trying to do what I can to make sure that I'm safe and secure and all this other stuff so that I can keep doing this. I want to keep doing this. This is something that at this point, yeah, I would rather not give up streaming myself either, right? This is something I want to do at least for like a little while longer. That's important to me. It's very important to me. And I appreciate that y'all have been getting behind me in such a way that I feel good saying that and then continuing to pursue that. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank y'all very, very much. I deeply appreciate it. I'm gonna go find us somebody to raid. But I just wanted to make sure that that was like no, because I wouldn't have a chance to say it on Friday because again, I'm probably not going to be streaming on Friday because again, going out with the team to figure out whatever is happening one way or the other with the incubator that we entered. So whether we're there to celebrate or whether we're there to commiserate. I think maybe we can hang out with J-Rock tonight. I think we can. I know some of y'all may not be like deep into Fortnite. Nope. J-Rock is still on cooldown, I think. So yeah, I know J-Rock is still on cooldown. So let me see here. Who else do we have that we can go hang out with? I think I can speak for everyone here. I say all of this. You've been keeping all this. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna go hang out with Thormangander. They're playing Elden Ring on potatoes. Thormangander's whole thing is that they'll play a variety of games, usually action games from what I see, using very unusual or otherwise like unique controllers. So they're playing Elden Ring and they're attempting to fight Melania with potato controllers. If Twitch would stop being weird and like actually load either their stream or the other stream that I need to be tuning into after we're done here, that would be great and I would send y'all over there. But for whatever reason, Twitch is being weird and not doing the thing. But yeah, links while I'm trying to like get this to behave. I do game analysis, design articles over on my NeoCities sometimes. Past posts are up on my Medium. Stream bots are up on my YouTube. Ko-Fi if you want to support me in the stream more immediately, because like Twitch payouts don't come out of regular for me because I don't have enough subs to sustain that. So I prefer Ko-Fi subs if you are really like intent on supporting me. Because that money, after the fees are processed, I keep more of it and it comes to me faster. So Ko-Fi is preferred. Throne is for anonymous gift giving for stream, whether it's for like funny other Kamen Rider gear or like stuff for around the apartment. Then my card has my other social media links. Nowadays I'm primarily active on Blue Sky. Munity, if you want to know more about that, it's the indie game studio I helped co-found. We run it as a democratic collective, so we all share power in it, and we all make decisions equally. If you want to know more about it, you can go over to munity.games. We have a Patreon that you can support us at with a free tier or pay tier. Join our Discord that way, and you can play our first game, Shoot Lancer, over on Itch. Demo for it. And then last but not least, we have a Gilded. If you do not want to, what's the word I'm looking for? If you don't mind making a Roblox account that you will use for basically nothing else, you can join us over on Gilded. We talk about other stuff that I don't like to talk about on stream, or that would need more in-depth conversation than a stream conversation. All that other stuff. That's on, we do that on Gilded primarily, because Discord is up its own butt a lot of the time, and that's kind of annoying. Okay, even though neither of my streams are loading properly into Thor or the other stream I want to watch, we're still gonna go over there anyway. So give Thor an SJH's raid, so when we get in there, let them know who sent you. You can use my emotes if you want, or just whatever your favorite emotes are. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, don't go outside if you don't have to, but if you do have to, still wear a mask and be excellent to each other, but not to bigots, racists, terrorists, sexists, anti-queer folks, or fascists. Black lives matter, trans rights are human rights, reproductive rights are human rights. Palestine, the Sudan, the Congo, and New Caledonia must all be free. None of us are free until we're all free. That's pretty much the deal. Help out the people that are around you as best you can. And that's pretty much all I've got. Again, thank you all for the 5 years of support. I deeply appreciate it. I deeply appreciate all of y'all. I'll catch y'all later. Till next time. Deuces.